Thank you, Michael. Going back over the Kansas State game in Manhattan last couple days ago. Just obviously, when you win like that, very pleased with the way the players performed. I thought, with some unusual circumstances getting there, had an 8.5 hour delay, at the airport, which people have talked about. I think Dean was more upset than anybody, but or at least I found out that later on Dean was more upset than everyone. But I thought the players did an incredible job of, and I noticed it during the whole, we wouldn't have sat there for 8.5 hours if, you know how it is, if you know it's going to be that long. We would have taken the players somewhere or called the buses back, went back home and came back. But, when you're told it's going to be an hour or hour and a half, by the time you can't do that where we were up there and back. So, the big concern was getting them fed, and we kind of did. Everybody went out who had a car and got whatever fast food they can get, and brought back as many meals as they could get. And we just kept, every 5 minutes somebody's walking in with pizzas or burgers or tacos or whatever, and we just kept feeding the players until they were full, and then the staff was able to, everyone else, pick at it after they were done. And but the players were having fun with each other, a lot of fellowship, us with them. There was a group of them in the conference room having not a dance party, but they got their music going and they're rapping with it and going to town. And so, everybody just stayed positive. And when we got there, finally at about 12:15, 12:30 in the morning, we had a 1-2 minute meeting with them and just talked about, hey, this is behind us. We're here now, and we're going to get whatever sleep we can, and when we get up tomorrow, there's no excuses. Let's be ready to play ball and be our best. And the kids could tell we're all nodding. They were ready to go. So, and they got up and played a heck of a game. And again, just pleased. The offensively to come out and score in 1 minute time right off the bat. A crowd that was really waiting for them. It's always loud and can be tough to play at a place like that, and really with the first few drives we took the crowd out of it, and defense came out, and 3-and-outs and interceptions, and it just was really solid. So the players of the game defensively, the whole defense, but with special mention Jordan Thomas and Zach Sanchez, who I guess is the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week this week in the Big 12. And then offense, same thing. The whole offense was also players of the game, but with special mention to Sterling Shepard and Baker Mayfield also. Jordan Thomas and Austin Seibert were kind of special teams players of the week. Leads us to this week hosting Texas Tech, a team that's really been lighting up the scoreboard. Cliff does a great job. The way they're playing. A lot of explosive plays. Mahomes, their quarterback's playing great. Got really good, excellent speed at running back. So it'll be a big challenge, of course, to slow them down and to get ready anyway for another, good game here and against a really good team. So our whole mission is to improve this week, to get better. Different style, offense we're facing this week. And defensively also they mix it up a little bit more than Kansas State does. So we've got to do a good job just being prepared this week to play our best.
How's their offense, air raid, different than your air raid?
Very similar in a lot of ways. That it's very similar. There isn't much difference.
Bob, as crazy as this might sound, at the FBO all that time together, do you think it might have helped you guys?
Well,
Lincoln talked about it being, drawing the team together, and you had unregimented time to just kind of hang out and be with each other.
Yeah, sometimes when you have some adversity, it can work that way, and our guys, obviously it didn't hurt. So it may have helped. It's probably fair to say, and we had a lot of good time together. I like I said, and I never saw anybody antsy about it the whole time, and in fact, I walked in with a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken into the music room, and they all went bananas, So a little publicity there for Kentucky Fried Chicken, but it wasn't fried; it was the grilled kind. So anyhow, it's, you just, in those situations, you just make, it doesn't do you any good to get upset. We just made the most of it best we could.
You do it every game now, Bob?
Grind. Every day, every week, it's kind of the same regiment, same schedule. It seems like a relief to be able to just get away. It's almost like a little oasis.
Well, I
that
think
sounds
you're
strange.
exaggerating there. I wouldn't say it was a relief to sit in the FBO for 8.5 hours with 140 of us and not enough seats for everybody, and it was challenging.
Mentally refreshed, maybe.
No, I wouldn't go there either. Again,
KFC, new pregame meal.
Pardon me?
KFC, the new pregame meal.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said from now on we're having potluck fast food for pregame Friday night meal, and players love that. So.
Is Tiffany Bird okay with that?
Yeah, I'm not so sure. Yeah, that's but anyway, it worked. So.
Bob, you played Will Johnson at the nickel. He had a really good game. It looked like.
Yeah, an excellent game.
Talk about his skill set and what he brings.
Yeah,
and how
Will's
that's,
corner is natural position, but we've been working him with Steven at nickel and really liked what he did, at the nickel position, and it allows us then to keep Steven and Ahmad in their positions where they play when we're in our bigger, sets, and it worked really well, and Will came in and played well.
Who you're playing this week, how much putting a cornerback in that nickel spot, how much does that help when you start seeing more of these 4 wide teams?
Well, Steven's a great cover guy, so that has nothing to do with the move. It's more to keep them in their positions they play more. But, Steven covering slots has been great for us. So, but it was pleasing to see Will come in and do the same thing, and play well and cover well. So that'll, that should help.
How did you find Will Johnson? Being up in New York, do you remember the recruiting process with him?
Yeah, Coach Wright and I both know Corey, one of his coaches and guys that works with them. He's an assistant coach out east out there in I want to say Baltimore, and he had sent information on him, and when we watched him, we liked him. I'm trying to think of Corey's last name, but anyway, when we saw the information, we liked it. We followed up with them and started recruiting them.
Bob, you often talk about the progression in college, how players get better, but this secondary seems like it is significantly better. Can you
It's
talk
getting
about
better.
their
I mean, they're talented guys, and and again, experience on the field. They work hard in practice. Kerry, Coach Cooks, is doing an excellent job with them, and he and Mike with what we're asking them to do, and and they're playing it in a good way. We have to keep it going, especially this week.
You made change in the offensive line. How did that work?
It worked well, in this game. Those guys played well. I thought Drew, really everybody up there did a nice job and graded out well, of course. But they played really pretty well.
Just having Baker help Drew, that he started in the first game and kind of had that under his belt to know what he had to kind of get back to, what level of play.
Yeah, it probably helped him. Just that now he's becoming more and more familiar with it and being ready to play, and so I'm sure it helped him, having done it before.
Does having Baker Mayfield on your sideline give you an advantage against Texas Tech because he knows their system?
We'll confer with them, here through the week, just like we did last year on, just what they may like, not like, and or, anything else he can provide. So we'll see, how much it helps. But
the defense, you brought in Lincoln and the air raid, and how does going against that every day in practice prepare you to face that in real life?
Yeah, I think it helps because we see it all spring and really all summer, leading up to game week, to first game. When I mean there's our 2-a-day sessions or our summer sessions, we go good against good all the time. So, so we get a lot of work against it. So hopefully it'll be an advantage that way. But, I guess it is for their defense too, so how much it works for you, we'll see.
Have you heard anything on Jordan Evans yet?
Yeah, Jordan's questionable. We won't know till later in the week. It is not a knee, it's more muscle related. behind, a muscle related behind the knee. So it isn't anything ligament wise or any of that. So it'll just be how, really that loosens up, through the week.
How did Frank look when he came out?
Frank did played well, and of course we got a lot of confidence in Frank. He's started a lot of games for us and is a good player. So anyway, we feel he'll go in there today, and I'm sure he'll more than hold up his end of the deal. Devontae should be back. He was really close last week, and just didn't feel he could push off at the level we need him to. So he's expected to practice here this week. So we'll see.
Fair to say that the Baker Mayfield transfer has worked out pretty well for everyone. It's worked out for you guys with the way he's playing. Texas Tech has Mahomes, who's playing well for them. It seems like it kind of had a happy ending for everyone.
Yeah, it seems like that. Sure wish they would have released him, but anyway, yeah.
Throughout your career, when you've had guys want to transfer, even within the conference, you've never restricted anyone. Why have you taken that policy?
I may not sometimes, so I don't want to say. It's just how I am, and that's just the decisions I've made. But I don't fault anyone who doesn't, and I'm not taking a shot at them at all. But I've said it before that I see why coaches don't when they've invested scholarships in a guy, and now all of a sudden it changes your numbers scholarship-wise and who's on scholarship, or you may have recruited. You might have been able to sign another 2 running backs, but they don't come because they know this guy's going to be here, and then he transfers. There's dynamics to it when you're investing scholarships. The hard part with Baker is he wasn't on. So, that's kind of should be, in my eyes, looked at a little bit differently. But
the Pac-12 and the SEC lets players freely transfer within the league, but is that – I think it's a league-wide rule that they let them do it. Is that something that the conferences have to take a tougher look at, or?
I don't know. Talk to those powers that be.
I assume you guys as coaches, the reason why you may not want it is you don't want guys using.
Yeah, it seems pretty strange. Everybody moving, moving here, moving there. That can be. See how it works. We'll see.
Kids come in and you guys teach these guys technique. You get them bigger, stronger, and faster. Do you believe that you can coach the intensity and the toughness that you want to see out of your players?
Well, you try to in the way you're constantly speaking to your players, what you're asking them to do, what you demand at practice, and the level of effort. But but who players listen to the entire week? It's hard to say. With all the information they get from all the different sources in today's world, it's hard to know who they're listening to the most. So you do your best to be that person that they're listening to the most.
Well, last week, Samaje said that with Texas, he thought some of the players may have bought into what the media was saying about Texas.
I'm done with that conversation. Whether they did or not, I can't shield them from it. How you shield anybody from information in today's world? Everybody walks around like this. I don't know what's on that, all day. So am I going to take their phones or instruments away from them all day? That's not going to happen. So,
Bob, the tackling was much better at Kansas State than the previous week. And it's also a premium this week with Texas Tech coming in with their yards after the catch. How do you keep that focus on that intensity?
Yeah, keep practicing it. Keep as we do our drills through the week, closing, with great speed, being in position to gather and be in position to tackle in open space, and so you just work on it all week, and without going to the ground, and do the same drills we've been doing to hopefully keep it going.
With a guy like Will, we saw a little bit of him in the spring. Hadn't played much up until Saturday. Is that kind of a transition phase for a junior college guy to kind of get up to speed to this level? And did you see that to the reason how you got into the game Saturday? Maybe?
Yeah, it is, especially too going into the nickel position. There's a lot in there mentally to handle. And I was really proud of him last week, how hard he worked to understand it all, and then he got in the game and he was excellent. He was on top of everything, and so it is. Answer your question, it is a challenge, but he's handled it to this point, and expect him to hopefully even improve on it.
You mentioned not being able to shield guys from information. How do you think Baker is going to handle what figures to be kind of an emotional setting for him playing his former team?
Well, I think he'll handle it like he's handled everything so far. In that, really, what are you going to do about it? Can you try and play any harder than you have already? I mean, don't you go into the game trying to play as hard as you can all the time? And so I don't see why it'd be different. You know, you go in and perform, concentrate on what we're asking you to do, play within the system like he has, and it's been successful for him. I don't know why he would try and do anything different.
Playing hard and getting excited for an opponent, that doesn't really work that well for a quarterback. Isn't that a little different position? You have to be more analytical.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I've told quarterbacks that before we get all rah-rah, you be cool, and everyone else can jump around. But some guys are different. Knowing Baker, he feeds off it maybe a little more than say, maybe a Sam, might have. Everybody's a little bit different. Whatever he's been doing so far, though, has been good, so you might as well stay with it.
Overton, can you talk about his performance?
Yeah, Mark.
And then you bring somebody. Was it Romar that was out? Somebody was out and comes
Matt
back.
Romar was.
So what happens moving forward?
Marquise did an excellent job in there, and so did Jordan Wade. Jordan Wade had a super game, had another sack, and really was solid, and so was Marquise. Marquise is powerful. He's quick, continues to get better, and has a really bright future for sure. Charles Walker can also play in there. Charles had another great game, but can go in there and play if we need him to at all. And Matt, we believe will be back this week. So we'll see how he does as we go through practice.
How do you think your receivers played?
They played well. We had a few instances where, we'd like to have made a couple more competitive catches where they got a hand on the ball, and so give their DBs credit on some of those that we kind of had shots at. But so we'd like to see them come down with a few more of those. But overall, they played pretty well and blocked really well. I think a lot of times is overlooked on the screens, on the, some of the run game, some of those plays, they really did a great job blocking as well.
Bob, did you guys widen your splits for Kansas State from the O-line?
A little bit at times. I think certain plays, Bill adjusts them, a little bit. But, from game to game, that can be a little bit different.
Did you like, to whatever extent you did it, were you pleased?
Well, again, the defense can be different too, and so it was effective, and of course, we performed better, but I think it's more to do with the execution of blocking and the defense that we were seeing that it is just the splits.
Some folks were down on you guys defensively against Tulsa, especially your secondary. But since conference play started, you've been the best in the conference in terms of your defensive secondary. What's the biggest change there?
Well, again, I don't need to tell you the personnel differences with Tulsa and what we're doing now, without saying anything, is a key issue. And again, every team's a little bit different throwing the football, and so for the most part, they've done pretty well, but we've got to do it again this week.
Bob, since Jordan Thomas returned from his suspension, he seems like he's played at a different level. Did you really see him come back from that and take his game to another level in practice?
Yes. First, I was really surprised just that I had to suspend him because that hasn't been his character. But he has responded. He's playing the way we thought he would play. He's an excellent athlete. He's a smart young man, and is playing at a much higher level. But we anticipated that. He's not a freshman anymore, and he's played a lot of football, and he's getting better. And I still think there's a lot more to come.
Is this the most aggressive secondary, Bob? They seem to challenge more balls, recover, try to get their hands on more balls.
Well, we try to. With better execution, that happens. And in a lot of circumstances, we're playing tighter coverage because we have the confidence to do it.
I assume that this win was significant. It was really good, but the challenge now is to keep the momentum.
Absolutely, it's we've got to improve. And again, you see different teams are different each week, so we've got to do our job to continue to improve in every aspect. We're only, again, 3 games into the conference, so there's a lot to come.
What were your thoughts about Landry Jones yesterday?
Loved it. I texted him after the game, just really excited for him, proud of him, and it doesn't surprise me. I mean, you guys all saw him whip the ball around, and what a great, thrower he was. And so I didn't see the game, but I saw the highlights actually about an hour ago. Before I came over here, I happened to hear Landry Jones, so I looked up and watched him and threw some great balls.
Coach, you guys ran the ball downhill a little bit more. Was that a tweak that you had in the offense or something that you saw from Kansas State?
Well, it's something we want to do all the time, and again, our execution allowed us to stay on the field, have more snaps, and so again, it's always has to do with the other team and what you feel you can do.
Bob, tempo was very important Saturday, and after the game, Baker said he enjoyed and liked that up-tempo when they got into it. Is that something dictated by the game itself, the situations, or can you generate that when you start the game?
Yeah, you generate it when you start the game by limiting your substitutions, and you have to execute to stay on the field. So it doesn't do much good if you're in 3rd and 10 and you don't complete 3rd and 10 and you're off the field. So both of it. It's executing is a big part of it.
Bob Lincoln said after the game that he said, I think we found something in practice. Can you maybe elaborate or describe some of what that was without giving away trade secrets?
Yeah, I just, they practice that way and perform that way. So we'll see.
Any one thing stand out in your mind about your series with Tech? I mean, you've had so many things happen, though.
I'm 17 years. I've had a series with everybody's. I've been interesting. You kidding me?
I know you're not afraid to talk about the Oregon game. I'm curious if the 05 game is the one that stands out to you most.
Yeah, that was a strange one too. Some of those calls, but so be it. That's a long time ago now, Kerry. I'm well past that.
I think the high point would be the 08 game, maybe here the jump around game where you called out the fans and they kind of responded.
That was pretty special. No doubt. That one. What they were one in the country, I don't know what we were, and had to have the game, and Shoot came out and played great. Fans were incredible. I can remember bowing down and thanking them after. They made a huge difference in that game, so let's try and do it again.
Yeah. Never really called them out like that since.
Well.
Did you regret doing that?
I just, again, our fans have been pretty special, and we've had a great year even this year. Every game, home game, they've been awesome. Loud and into it. Striped the stadium there. I guess it was West Virginia. So, no, our fans have been great. So, let's be great again this week.
Were you proud that you defended the pop pass a little bit better this year? They tried it, I think, once or twice and didn't really get anything out of it.
Yeah, that was that's always a big threat, and they get it on a lot of people. So, fortunately, we handled it.
Zach said that when you play this kind of offense, it's like playing KD, where you just have to slow him down and not shut him down. Is that something that you'd agree with from a defensive standpoint?
It's like playing what?
KD,
what's KD?
Kevin Durant, where you can't hold him to no points, but you just kind of try to limit his.
Well, we try and limit everybody, and these that's what you're trying to get turnovers. You're trying to get off the field all the time. That's what we try and do every week.
Mahomes was playing very well. What's his strengths and how he's guiding that offense?
Mahomes, excellent quarterback. Great arm, great thrower. Great job scrambling and moving around and getting out of the pocket. Hurt us bad last year getting out of the pocket. They had several big plays on us from him scrambling around and finding people late, 5-6 seconds into the route. So, really good athlete.
Is it fair to say that Baker has exceeded your expectations? Because if he had played this well, you would have thought that he would have been the clear starter a long time ago.
Well, no, he hasn't exceeded our expectations at all. I feel there's still more to come, and you got a little glimpse even there in Manhattan of Trevor. He went 4 for 4 and threw some great darts out there, and So it was a good competition, and Trevor's really, made improvement. You got to see a little bit of it the other day, even though it's one series, but all the balls he threw were really, excellent passes.
Had you paid any attention to Baker when he was playing at Tech?
Of course. Yeah, I thought he did an excellent job. Yeah, I remember thinking, boy, that's pretty special. That true freshman walk-ons out there. He's won all 6 games. That's not easy to do.
You talked about everybody about getting the ball out of his hands quicker. Was that just extra emphasis on his part, different play calling? I think his option was much better Saturday.
Well, again, receivers have to get open, and Baker's got to have the timing with them, and that was improved and better. And so some of it's execution, some of it's play calling as well.
What do you guys like about all the play action last week? There's a lot of it.
It was, it was positive because with it, the run game was more effective.
Slow down pass rush, I guess, is one of the things.
It also, it definitely slows down pass rush when you're play actioning.
Better protection last week. The line played better. Also, the backs picked up. Looked like a little bit better on the blitzes coming in. They were about blocking, holding in
They
blocking
did.
well.
The backs did pick up blitzes well last week, and overall execution up there was better.
How'd you feel about Joe Mixon's performance?
Thought it was really good. Joe made some really nice plays, and I thought all the backs made nice plays. Really played well together.
Bob, I assume you saw the end of the Michigan State game. When big plays like that happen, they're kind of crazy. Are those moments where you go to Austin or your players and show them to them, and do those things help prepare you guys better?
Oh, definitely. It's just a reminder of work the bad snaps. Go over the scenario several times, and that this happens here. What do you do? And reminds me that even what am I going to tell a guy going out in that situation? If this happens, be sure you do this. All those kind of things you kind of go back over, and and what would have been different? Even got to thinking, well, do you throw the deep ball out of bounds and waste 7 seconds and let them have the shot at the end zone? Then that's pretty scary too. So so you think through them. Sure.
Bob, the air raid offense that you and Tech are running now, is it essentially the same Mike Leach early OU and Texas Tech offense, or has it evolved much?
I love Mike Leach, that, but I go to Hal Mummy is where I got it from. That's where I got Mike Leach from. So I always give a plug to Hal. So and I had to deal with it at Florida, and it was challenging. So it all stems from there, sure.
It seems like there have been teams that have adopted the air raid, but they've evolved maybe the run game a little bit more. Variations of.
Yeah. Again, Dana Holgerson's one of them, definitely. So that's those. Everyone also the pistol got introduced to it a little bit. There's always a little wrinkles here or there, but overall, the systems are very, very similar.
What do you think of the strength of the Big 12, and do you think it gets the credibility it deserves?
I don't have time for any of that. I'm not sitting there analyzing, what's said about who, and I don't have any idea.
What about the Big 12 itself?
There's a lot of good football teams. I think you're seeing them. It's challenging. In particular, the explosive offenses are challenging. So it's a difficult conference to play in. A lot of good skill players. So.
Are you guys better defensively playing with a lead? What I mean is, are you guys with your pass rush and such? Does that help you guys?
Definitely. It helps all defenses when you're putting pressure on the other team's offense to have to open up more.
Did you guys get more physical in practice last week?
No, we practiced against each other like we did the week before and the week before that. So like we will tomorrow, we go against each other and inside drill and team run, good against good, one-on-ones, good against good. And then Wednesday, we do team run, 20 plays against each other, just like we have.
Bob, you changed up the way your work week is a little bit. I'd heard because you're doing some things that Chip Kelly does now. So you practice on a Friday morning.
Yeah,
I mean, that seemed to help you with your situation too on Friday, didn't it?
Yeah. So what we do now is we used to walk through on Friday. We now do that on Thursdays afternoon and get more out of it, along with some kicking situations. And then we come back and practice Friday morning. Home games all the time at 7 a.m. Friday morning. We have our shoulder pads and helmets, uppers on, and we used to be our Thursday practice. We do on Friday morning. And all the research, I guess, shows you that like Olympic athletes and people who have to perform at a high level go hard the day before their competition and rest 2 days before. That's where that comes from, and Chip's done it a long time, and I talked to him about it at length, and and just decided to go to it.
Bob, you were scheduled though to walk through at Kansas State.
No, we were going to go to the stadium just to burn some time and to check. It was a new temporary locker room. I was told that there was so many flights of stairs. I wanted to go over just to see if it's something I needed to adjust our pregame with at all. That was the only. We weren't going to actually. And in the meetings we always have at the hotel, we took turns using the conference room at the FBO to go over our Friday morning practice to make sure all the corrections were made and to watch a little bit of their film. So defense went first, offense hung around, and then the offense went through their preparation while the defense was hanging around the FBO, and then we waited another 5 hours after that. So.
Did you make that change last week?
No, we made it the beginning of the year.
You're kind of a creature of habit. Why the change?
I just felt it was the right thing to do. All right.